Okay? 1.6. Now, we've gone through and we've understood the functions. We've made this platform. You've drawn this out. You've drawn this part here. I really recommend that you actually do this stuff, because if you draw it out, you'll definitely enhance your understanding and ability. Remember what's up here. Work, leisure, self-care. All those things in balance are helping you support your 4 abilities of physical, mental, social, and motivational abilities, okay? So now we start to see that this all fits on this partial globe, right? Now remember, here's the first thing I want to think about. Other people. Other people have this happening too, right? So, I mean, we'll just make a few small ones, but, you know, just by recognizing that other people's platforms are right next to you, and actually some more closely knit with you, a spouse, a friend, a family, those things can be happening right beside you, and you can, by reaching out to those people, remember how we were talking about external supports in the last section, those people are right there with you. But let's focus on you for a minute. And what is this globe we're living on? We're living in the context, okay, so our context is time, place, person, and situation. Okay? Time, place, person, and situation. In no particular order. It just so happens that that's an order that we use often when we're talking about orientation or any other aspect. But if you think about time, time is actually time of a lot of things, right? So if we were to say our functions exist for allowing our abilities in the context of these things, but our abilities have this context that plays back into the functions. The things that we choose to do up here have a lot to do with what's happening down here, right? So time is time of day, time of year, time of life, time, you know, basically we do different things at different seasons of the year. We're not going to put on a parka in the summer. We're not going to go for a swim in the backyard in the winter. We might go ice skating in the winter. We might go, we might do different things. We might go boating in the summer, right? So it doesn't matter, but basically a lot of things, that's going to dictate those functions, those things that we choose to do. Our work, leisure, and self-care are going to change based on the time. The context automatically does this, and we, by being aware of it as of this moment and any other moment that you've been thinking about this, that awareness of your context enhances that, because you're going to choose the right thing to do. Place. Place is the physical environment, the location, the temperature, all those things that are happening. Are there a lot of hills? Is there a ramp? Are there stairs? Is there an elevator, escalator? What is actually going on? Is the floor flat? Is it slippery? All those things that could be going on, elements of place. Again, they're going to dictate kind of which functions are most appropriate and which abilities are most engaged. If the ground is uneven and I'm constantly walking across uneven ground or rocky, shifting ground, my balance is going to be much more important. My physical ability to balance in that situation is going to be different. Persons. Who are the supports and possibly the detractors from my ability to have the best life? If you think about your spouse, your children, your extended family, your parents, anyone that's around you, friends, neighbors, colleagues, everyone around you is a social aspect, a person in your environment. So time, place, person, situations, this is really like a social environment. Those people are supporting or detracting from you. They can be those external supports, or they can be those external anchors that drag us down. These are the chains of, the ball and chain is the old analogy, right? That we'd have this chain dragging us down, stopping us from doing things. That is potential as well as an external support, someone who's lifting us up or encouraging us, motivating us, helping us do those things. So if you can start to identify those people and how to enhance those relationships and how to stand up for what you recognize as the truth of yourself right now and what you want to be as going from a functional person to towards an optimal person or a functional person on the way there. So we're survival, functional, optimal. We'll talk about a little bit later on. But we want to know that that person's not dragging us down. Those are external social supports or detractors. And then the situation is our situation. I'm going to write it over here because I think it just got cut off. Situations like the culture, what is expected, what's the institutional culture, who's involved with us. If you are to think about the situation as defining those things that are acceptable, I talked about a 9-to-5 job. Well, that's not necessarily the same in every place in the world. In some places that I appreciate this idea of the siesta, this time in the afternoon where people take to rest. It's a hot time. There's really no need for people to be running around. Why don't you all settle down for a little bit? That whole idea is in a culture different than mine. I tend to respect it greatly because it's such a great idea. Just recognize that the context, the things that you think are acceptable, come a lot from those assumptions that are in your situation. So, we've got time, place, person, and situation. We define them briefly. We defined them briefly before, but what we're doing now is we're going to go through and see how those interactions can start to, so interactions across here. So the situation again might be a culture or expectation, right? Again, the climate often dictates, so the place, the temperature, might be dictated by the time of year. That place might be snowy because of the time of year. That place might have a monsoon season because of the time of year. So the people that are around may interact at different times of year. You go to school between September and June as a grade school person, or if you're in a semester system in university, or when are those courses available for adult education? When our place is the internet, right? That starts to open up our lives a lot. We can be doing this course from anywhere because of the context of the situation, the place, and the people. The people that are in your life now, like me, I'm in your life now, apparently, and you're in mine, because your support is helping us to do this excellent work, as well as your individual effort to do these things enhances the lives of those people around you. You're making the world a better place just by being in there and being involved in it. You are that person that has changed the world. So Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. You're doing that as much as anyone right now just by doing this and focusing a little bit more on your context. Again, time, place, person, and situation. It's just a simple way to start to organize and start to understand what's happening. If someone calls you at 5 in the morning on a phone, you expect that to be an emergency because of the context of time. If they call and just say, I just wanted to talk, you go, dude, it's 5 in the morning, right? So that's our situation here. It's dictating what's acceptable. Sometimes we're talking about when is it okay to interact with somebody. Well, email has changed those things, right? Email and the situation of email has changed our ability to interact. So we say, I really need to get a message to this friend. I can email them at any time because I hope it's not going to interrupt their sleep, because I hopefully, and you certainly out there, are not going to have your email giving you a bloop, bloop, bloop every time you get an email, and at 5 in the morning, it's a delayed reaction. Now, if someone phones you, our situation is, I've got to answer that because I think that that's more emergent. But we have texting, we have other ways to communicate now. All of those things just help you to be more aware of your situation in terms of your context. So we've talked about functions, we've talked about abilities, and we've talked about our context. Right? So again, now if you were to draw this thing, all right, now it's looking like Fred Flintstone's house. But doesn't matter. You're going to put this on your napkin, and you're going to have those time, place, person, situation. Now, we're going to be going in and trying to figure out who we really are at the core of ourselves. So, let's take a look at that.